let me just throw share my screen here. There we go. So the date is still February 13th, for those who didn't know. This is a continuation of what we did a couple weeks ago. Bill, Cindy, do you want to say a couple words for anybody who didn't happen to be there? Or?
Well, I just want to thank you, David and Stony Brook, for doing the presentation. Bill and I really appreciate it. The official report has now gone out, and that the images will soon be up on the website. But I appreciate this presentation because we get to have judges' comments. So I think it's an excellent way to share the HM and the winning images. And again, we thank you very much.
Okay, that's great. And do you want to just comment quickly, Cindy, on how the HMs and are determined? Because that was something you talked about last time, and I think it was interesting to me at least. So.
Okay, so for every competition, both the clubs and the individual entries get scored and they receive the first, second, third, and HM placements. If there's a tie, then it's revised. So if there's a two-way tie for first, then we only award a first, and a third. So we don't break ties, but the two that did get first place get first, and then the next one gets a third. Okay, and then for the individual images, the HMs are, we try to cap the HMs at about 25 to at most 30% of the total entries. So again, that depends on the judging and where the scores fall, but the first, second, and thirds get awarded, and then the HMs are at about 25%. And that's why you see like Pictorial A might have 20 awards, Pictorial B might have 30 awards. It depends on the scores and the percentages. So I hope that answered your question.
Thanks so much. I appreciate that. So as we know, we have a lot of friends on YouTube here. We did not record last time, which is probably a good thing, other than forensic reasons. But since we are broadcasting to YouTube, that will automatically be recorded, and we just have to decide along with Bill and Cindy how long we want to make it available, or how we want to make that recording available to others. So we'll deal with that once we finish the session. So with that, what we're going to do is go through the club scores and the top images, and without comments on those who've already been commented on. So if you've seen the comments, you got them. If not, you missed them from last week, 2 weeks ago. And then we'll resume with where we had stopped with the comments from then on. I'll be asking each judge to comment, one judge to comment on each image, and then if there's a kind of a disparity in the scores, one gave it a pretty high score, one gave it a lower score, we might ask the second judge to comment further on what that person thinks of the scores, thinks of the image. Sorry. So in the nature class A, Greaterland scored first, Simsbury scored second, the Neshoba Valley scored third. The honorable mentions are, and I'm not going to read each one, I'm just going to let you read them, but I'll give you a second to appreciate the image. This one was a second place. Sorry, I'm going to go back Here again, this one was a second place from Cynthia Rand. This one is a second place from Alice Liang. Another second place from Frank Forward. And first place, Ken Jordan of Greater Lynn. Applause, applause, applause for all these. We're going to move on to the Nature B. Connecticut Valley scored first. Springfield scored second. Flagpole came in third. Again, I'll go through the ones we have commented on already rather quickly, and then we'll resume comments with the last image that had comments. And with this image right here, Michael Beelan, Family Argument, scored 23. Jim, can you continue your comments or start them anew?
Sure, yeah. Thank you, David. For this image, technically, I think this is an excellent capture. And it's got a nice story of these great blue herons engaged in, as the title says, a family argument. All three birds, including the young one, are nicely in focus, particularly around the head and the eye area. Very good sharpness, no blown highlights that I see in the white areas of the face of the birds. The only thing I probably might do on this one is just crop in a little, I think, to the left of the image in that nest area, and then maybe crop a little tighter along the top. Other than that, it's an excellent image.
We have Carl Albrow from Hakamog, the Blue Jay, 23, honorable mention. Ken?
Yeah, this is a great capture. I think the feather detail really works out nicely. I like the highlight in the bird's eye. That gives it some life, and certainly there's a lot of action going on here. The wings are extended. You can see that the bird is midair. The thing that I like is that the depth of field is such that the background is nice and muted, whereas the bird is sharp. Looks like throughout. The background is very soft, but the front branches that he's taking off from are really quite sharp and quite well done. He's nicely centered in the frame, and I think it works out really well.
Thanks, Ken. Tom, you scored this one a little bit lower. Maybe how this might be improved?
I actually, what I really like about this, looking at it again, is that we all have seen blue jays, I think, and we all have photographed a lot of blue jays. In comparison to some of the other images, and I will be the first to say this, the competition was extremely stiff. But this bird looks like it's looking over its shoulder right at us, and that eye contact is excellent. To improve it, I know in nature category, you can't go removing anything, but I find the tree limbs a little bit distracting. It is frozen in motion, and that is very cool. And it's an unusual perspective on a bird photograph, but I found the intrusion of the elements too much. Maybe a crop on the right a little bit.
Thanks, Tom. We have Nancy Wright from Seven Hills, Hiding from the Heat, 24, honorable mention. Tom, can you continue?
Yeah, this is great. I love this shot. This is so cool. I will repeat what David said at the beginning. First of all, hi, everybody out there in YouTube land. I will repeat what David said the first time we had our critique, is that our voting was so close. And that's a confirmation for the three of us, I think, that we really can see through and see what the really best stuff is. And this scored high, the honorable mention. It was really done, Nancy. And again, it's the impact. What is the visual impact, especially in nature? You know, it's just not the bird on a stick. It's the visual impact, and this is really cool. And the depth of field is such that the frog is clearly in focus. If I want to nitpick, I'd say crop it a little on the left and make, to balance the lily pad there on either side. But otherwise, it's a great shot. Love the color, love the narrow depth of field. Well done.
And we have Matt Siller, Kenya Cubs, 24, honorable mention. He's from Seacoast. And Jim.
Yes, hi. Very nice capture here and nature story as well of this lion family. I like the nicely muted background, thrown out of focus there. Very well done. I think the tall grass, of course, in the foreground somewhat obscures the cubs, the smaller ones there, with blades of grass or tall grass in their face, so that somewhat detracts, although not so much. I think the color is somewhat yellow in appearance. Now, when we look at these images, on our monitor or say on the screen here, they tend to look somewhat more saturated and contrasty in this PowerPoint presentation. But I think the color could be adjusted to be a little more natural in appearance. So as a tip, you could do that in Photoshop. You could do a curves adjustment, select the blue channel, pull, and add a little bit of blue into the image to make it a little more natural looking, less yellow. Okay, so also the white fur on the mother lion's face is a little bit overexposed, but other than those really minor issues, this is a very enjoyable image to look at.
Thanks, Jim. And a really good point is we're looking at this, multiple generations past the images that the judges actually looked at. First, we put it into a PowerPoint to make it easy to show, and then Zoom itself is not always accurate. And then everybody's viewing it on a different monitor, their own, than the judge viewed on. So you have to keep that in mind. The judging was on calibrated monitors directly, but sometimes it loses a little bit in the translation as we present them. And we've got Diane Roberts, Connecticut Valley, Swallowtail Sex 24, honorable mention. Ken.
Yeah, there's a great double portrait of these two swallowtails. It's looks like they're obviously mating, and it's just an unusual capture of the insects. There's not too much that you can really improve on here. I wish that one little piece of grass that's at the lower butterfly hadn't been chewed off, and I wish there was more grass on the right-hand side rather than looking past the grass and into the background. But those are just very, very minor things that might have been corrected, but I realize that's a nature shot, so you really can't do much. But I think it's a nice capture, it's nice and sharp, good bright colors, and overall it passes muster.
Thanks, Ken. Robert Kowalczyk, I hope. Whaling City, Elephants 24, honorable mention. And I will apologize for any mispronunciations, but I'll congratulate you for being in this group. With that, Tom, can you comment on this one?
Yeah, what a great shot. The sharpness in the wrinkling of the elephants is just so cool. One thing I do love is that you've got some space on the right-hand side of the photo to allow the space for the elephants to move into. That's so cool. And that should commonly apply to birds and other animals. But they're in motion and they're moving left to right. That's how we read. I think the crop is fine. It's telling us what we need to know. Just a great shot. Good job.
Thanks. And now we have Victor Philip, Connecticut Valley, sun rising beyond the La Salle Mountains, 24, honorable mention. Jim.
Yes. Another pleasing image here. This one's the La Salle Mountains in Utah. So I do like the composition very much. Sort of classic landscape, which seems to include a foreground, middle ground, and background. I think the placement of the horizon works well. And I like the color, the blues with the orange in the sky works very well. Now, of course, once again, I got to add, looking at this on the PowerPoint presentation is definitely more saturated and contrasty than what I originally saw in the JPEG file. That being said, probably one of the few things I would criticize is I think the prominent foreground is a little bit soft. If you were to do something like even add some mid-tone contrast to that foreground in particular, give a little more texture to the rocks, and I think it would help the image score a little bit better.
Thanks, Jim. And Tom, you scored this one a little bit lower. Any other comments other than what Jim had to maybe fix it up? Or what?
The only thing I would say is, compared to some of the others again, I would open up the rocks in the foreground, the mountains in the foreground. I would like to see more detail in there. I agree with Jim, foreground, background, middle ground, and the colors. And I will also add for our viewers that the images that we received from David that we judged, the individual ones, were really sharp and well done. That was a good accomplishment on you guys for Stony Brook. My critique of this would be, I would like to open up the darkness on the foreground. That would be it.
Yeah, and just to comment on how this worked, I think we talked about it a little bit last time. The NECCC group, Bill and Cindy, gathered the images from the clubs, and then we put them where the judges could get to them and judge them individually, and now have come together to do comments. So the judges have not met to score them, which is why some of the scores are different, but remarkably, most of the scores are pretty close, particularly with the really good images. And we go here to Jim Ferroli, Springfield, How to Eat a Catfish, 24, honorable mention. Ken.
Great capture. I certainly like the texture in the bird's neck. Certainly the expression on the fish himself is a little bit of surprise. A few droplets of red blood add to the nature story that you're trying to tell here. And the ripples in the water actually add to way of framing your subject. Depth of field is good. It drops off nicely in the background, which you can certainly tell that it's water and it's ripples. And you captured it well, and you framed it well.
Thanks, Ken. Now we have Rhonda Cullens from Flagpole, My Profile Shot, 24, honorable mention. Tom.
This is stunning. The clarity, the sharpness, and the contrast between the sharpness on the feathers on the face of the bird, the front of the bird, the breast, and the contrast with the colors in the back, as well as sharpness and softness. I think it's stunning photo. It's just great. It is a bird on a stick. We know what it is, but it's centered. I think it's well done. It's just so tack sharp. It's what a wonderful presentation. It's a delight to see. Good job, Rhonda. If you're listening.
Tom. We have Shane Cullens, Flagpole, Lovers Sharing Food, 24, honorable mention. Ken.
Yeah, great detail in the feathers of both of these birds. Again, the background is very soft, so it's not intruding at all. And again, we got a bird on a stick, but it's been handled very well, captured very well, and certainly cropped exceedingly well. There's not much more that you could crop out of that. I think the colors are nice and vivid, and it's a good nature story. It works well.
Thanks. Ken? Jim, you're going to comment on John Gordon, Candlewood, Double Rainbow Maasai Mara Kenya. This received second place, 25 points. Jim.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this image here. This is a pretty dramatic landscape photo, very worthy of this second place finish. I think the composition is extremely well done by allocating most of the image to the sky and the rainbow, and then just including a sliver of a crop below, giving us a nice sense of place here. You really sort of feel like you're looking out over the plains of Africa here. So very well done. And of course, the lighting adds drama to the image. So very nice.
Tom, you scored this one a little bit lower, maybe comment or?
Again, no, as being one of those crazy photography camera club judges, I will continue to say that in comparison to what we're going to see for second and first, this is it's a dramatic photo. There's no doubt about it. And I enjoyed, like Jim, I enjoy looking at it. I thought it was fabulous, but wait till you see what's coming.
Okay, something's coming. So next thing coming is another second place, Harcourt Davis, Connecticut Valley, Gull with Jumping Lunch. 25 second place. Tom, you want to comment on this one?
I love it. I love it. I think just what are the odds of being the luck of being able to capture this? And again, we're looking at the depth of field that leads our eye right to the moment of the gull getting the fish. I just think it's fabulous. I have no complaints. I think it's great. And the contrast with the warmer colors on the bird and the cooler colors in the background, the whole thing, it's really cool. Well done.
And thanks, Tom. And now we'll come to the first place image, Sylvia Zoch. I'm not even going to try. Sorry, Sylvia. Springfield, Damsels Mating, 26, first place. Ken.
Well, number one, to find these damselflies in such a position, I mean, it looks like almost a Cirque du Soleil act, but to capture them and also capture their reflections, which really adds to the design of this photograph extremely well. Again, the nice tones. I love the blues. I love the greens, and I think the whole thing just works so well. And your eye just travels around in a constant circle, looking from one insect to the other. And I like the two holding hands right at the top, and then the other ones climbing up the back of the other ones. I mean, you keep on looking at this, and you see more and more details. And you can also, if you really charge your imagination, you can almost see a face in every one of these things. So it's really nicely done.
Agreed.
Yes, absolutely. And congratulations, Sylvia. So now we're going to move on to pictorial A. Charter Oak with 94 was in first place. Central New England with 92 is in second place, tied with Flagpole at 92 in second place, and Greater Lynn tied for second place. And so we'll move on to the top scores. And this is Paul Weisbach, Aspet Valley, 2 hummingbirds feeding, 24. Honorable mention, and we'll go with Tom.
What a great shot. Seeing the pair of them, I mean, I've been able to take a photo of a hummingbird, feeding on a feeder or, approaching a feeder, but to have the two of them like that, it just gives it so much dramatic punch. Well done, well executed, including the flower, within the image. It's hard to avoid in this case, but well cropped, well presented, excellent, well done.
Thanks. And now we have Eric Vickery, Central New England, Ocean View, above and below, 24, honorable mention. Ken.
This is super. You're looking at below the water and above the water, and I imagine he's using an underwater camera, I would guess. But to include the maker's legs, which add to the foreground, and then you're looking at the water below the surface of the two fish and the boat above the water. I mean, it tells the whole story, and the curvature of the lens, the wide angle lens you're using, really adds to the story. The nice blue puffy clouds in the background. I think it's a great shot. I like the color of the fins, and it just works well.
Yeah, how can you not smile when you see this one?
If I can interrupt, David, I saw this and I said, I got to run out and buy that lens. Wow, what a great shot. Good job, Eric. Thank you.
Yeah. Just for people who don't know, Tom's in Florida, so he could actually take these shots as opposed to the rest of us in New England. We have Steve Silk, Charter Oak, comment watching at Beavertail, and Jim.
Yeah, I do have to comment first. This particular class A here, this was really tough to judge. There was just a high number of very, very outstanding images. So whatever I'm going to say here, I mean, if, we could have scored these all as winners, I think, at Stony Brook here. But anyway, let me go on to the image. I like this one. This is one of my favorites in this category. To me, it's pretty dramatic. It's the composition and the color palette is great. We have this sweeping curved path that leads us into the image, over to the two viewers, the two folks there standing up near the horizon, and then on up to the sky and the comet there. So very nice flow to the image, very good colors. And the people in it give it a good sense of, I think, scale here. So very well done, very enjoyable.
Thanks, Jim. Cynthia Rand, Central New England, Young Red Fox Waiting for Mom, 24, honorable mention. Ken.
In photography, light is everything. And here you've got some beautiful light on this fox. His front breast is highlighted with the white fur. And you can see the highlights in his eye. He's very attentive. Background is silk and not obtrusive at all, but you can tell there's some detail back there. There's some trees back there. The bark of the tree, the texture of the tree adds to the woodsy story you're trying to tell, as does the grass. He's in a great position. He's looking out of the frame, but he's got a lot of area to actually move if he had to. But I think it's cropped well. The colors are just magnificent.
Thanks, Ken. And we have Nancy Orby, Cape Cod Arts Center, Annisquam Lighthouse, 24, honorable mention. Tom.
What a great photo. Isn't this gorgeous? What a great landscape shot. You want to be there. You want to be standing there to witness this. Great photo. Composition is excellent. Foreground, middle ground, background. It just leads you, the viewer, right into it. Love the colors. Love everything about it. It's a great shot. Well done. Thank you for not cropping off that building on the right. And I know it gets close, but well done. Excellent. And the composition with the horizon is well done. Good job.
Thanks, Tom. Hannah Monroe, Flagpole, Spine of Boxes, 24, honorable mention. Jim.
Yes. Another excellent image here. Excellent creativity. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the palette of the colors and the work, obviously, that went into crafting this image. I just have maybe one point in particular. I think the image is a little bit on the dark side, exposure-wise. So, and it's particularly evident when you see it, say, in this PowerPoint presentation with the white background. So I would recommend maybe adding a half to a 2/3 of a stop of exposure just to bring it up a little bit. I think would show it off a little better. And I guess one more point I would add, I would prefer it without the boxes on the spine, but you know, I know it's done there for creativity, but very nice image.
Thanks, Jim. Leslie Matuccio, Greater Lynn, Keel Build Expelling Seeds, 24 honorable mention. Ken.
That's certainly a very bright subject. You've got a very colorful and an interesting subject. You caught it right at the time when the seed is right in the beak. Cropping is just about perfect. A little bit of softness on the right-hand side, but you've got to expect that if you're going to get the background to be as soft as it is also. The bird itself is quite sharp. The eyes are quite sharp, and the feather detail is really quite good. It works well.
Thanks, Ken. David Long, Boston, Driftwood Sunrise, 24, honorable mention. Jim.
Yes. Another nice composition, I think, to this image. I do like this leading line of the, you know, the edge of the water taking you over to the tree. There are a couple of issues, though, I think that I would comment on. One is, of course, it looks like a composite image with these tree elements were brought into a picture of the background here. So the tree didn't render very well. If you look at it a little closely, it looks like the selection could have been somewhat better. I assume it was selected maybe in Photoshop and then brought into this image, but the tree does look somewhat ragged and it's not natural looking. Let's see what else here. Yeah, I mean, for improvement, I would say, I think eliminate the other parts of the tree that are, you know, to the left and to the right. Just have that lone tree there in the middle, simplify the image somewhat, and work a little more on a better selection of the tree to bring into the image. And I think it would be great. So that's my comments for this.
Thanks, Jim. We have Eric Landergren, Flagpole, Just a Rose, 24 honorable mention. Tom.
Yeah, great shot. I love the spot color. It's pretty dramatic. I'd critique maybe take a little off the top, a touch, not much, but having black and white and so much with digital, we're in color. I love seeing black and white. It's refreshing, but I love the spot color. Well done, well composed, nicely balanced. Nice, well done. Intriguing.
Thanks, Tom. And now we go to Allison Foster, Stony Brook City Lights, 24, honorable mention. Ken.
This is great. You captured it just at the right time. You still got a lot of blue in the sky, so the blue hour is certainly there, and which adds a lot of definition to the buildings themselves and the shape of the buildings. You've got a great leading line here on the left. It's in a yellow tone, which really emphasizes that leading line, since it's a different color than most of the rest of the image. Certainly a long exposure, but I just love the color of the different colors of the buildings, the pinks and the oranges, the greens, and everything else. It really pops off the screen and really works well. Very nicely done, well composed, and I think by waiting for the bridge to be swinging around, you've added another element to it. So it works nicely.
Thanks, Ken. Just a comment. clearly the judges did not know who which clubs or the names of people submitting when they scored, but we also made sure that that the comments were not on judges' own clubs. In this case, it is Stony Brook, but we made sure it wasn't Jim commenting. Just wanted people to, we tried to make sure that didn't happen. So we have Lorraine Casista jumping out, from the Show Valley, 24, honorable mention. Jim.
Yes, another well-executed image here. I enjoyed this one for its creativity for sure, and looks like some skill here, probably in Photoshop, to composite this image. I like the pleasing background, the background colors there, and also the rendition of the girls it gives you the appearance they're actually jumping out of the beach scene there, but I know that's a composite. So very well done, very skillful. I think even down to the compositing of the girl in the foreground with the hair, it's all done pretty well. So good image.
Thanks, Jim. Jim Brady from Greater Lynn, thumbs up, 24, honorable mention. Tom.
One of the highlights for this for me is the rider is looking directly. I mean, it's what are the odds? But the rider is looking right at the camera. I mean, it's just reaching out at us. I think there were two that were similar to this, where there were rodeo type scenes, and the tension of the foot in this, in the stirrup, it just, what a great shot. And the depth of field is great because you know what's going on in the background. It gives you a sense of place, but it's not, it enhances, I think it enhances the image and the impact. But what a dynamic shot. Wow, great stuff.
Thanks. We have Rick Tarasek, Candlewood, Milky Way over Nubble, 25, honorable mention. Ken.
Dramatic sky, certainly the Milky Way has been handled really quite well. I've been, of course, we've all been through Nubble several times before, and I don't remember the light being as red as it showing up. Maybe it is that red nowadays. I'm not sure, but certainly a very dramatic picture. But the sky really takes over from the lighthouse and really adds to the enhances the photograph quite a bit. Nicely done.
Thanks, Ken. Christopher Cummings, Merrimack Valley, The Birds, 25, honorable mention. Jim.
Yes, once again, another great image. This is another one of my favorites, I think, here in this category. Simplicity really works here. Looks like a nice long exposure was taken here of the scene, and I sort of looked at it in Photoshop. It looked like about a 2-minute exposure for the background, which nicely blurred it, right? And of course, those birds were somehow composited in. I'm not sure whether the maker dropped each one individually or somehow got a faster shutter speed of the birds in the shot and added that into the image. But however Christopher did a nice job with it. Got to add it, make a nice print. Particularly, you put it on a nice premium matte paper. Looked nice on my wall. So very well.
I would agree with Jim. I thought this is one of my faves. This is a great photo. What a great photo. Well done, Christopher.
This one gets a big check mark from me too.
Yeah, nice. Well done.
You don't see it. You don't see it. Looks like a big check mark. The birds do.
I get it now.
Okay, we've got Peter Christoph, Central New England, Bard Owlets, Bobby and Tommy, 25, honorable mention, Tom.
Yeah, another wonderful photo. It's such a treat to be a judge and to see all these great images. The sharpness and the crispness, the lighting on these two owls, it's just owlets. Very, very cool. Critique, maybe take a little off the top to center it. I'm big into cropping, but I maybe take a little off the top. But the lighting, it's just a super shot. Well done. Well done.
Thanks, Tom. And we have Neil Zobler, Candlewood, corner of Houston, 26. This is first. Actually, I want to go back here. No, it's honorable mention. So we did not have any second places here. So Neil took first place with corner of Houston, or it could be Houston if it's in New York. I'm not sure. Ken?
Sure.
What a great expression. What a great character. Certainly the pipe adds a lot to it. And, the hand itself is in relatively good focus. So your depth of field is just about perfect. The subject is looking away from the camera. He's not looking directly at it. So something else is grabbing his attention. But look at the hairstyle he's got, and the red around the beard, and just the way you cropped it. It'd be so easy to cut off more of that hand, but you've left the hand and you've shown the texture and the work that hand has done over the years. It gives a little bit of a strong feeling there. I'm not sure exactly what this one wire is that's leading from the pipe down to wherever, but that's a little bit of a distraction, but that's just a very, very minor thing. Great expression, great texture in the face, and great texture in the hand. And it's a good human interest there, Scott.
Thanks, Ken, and congratulations, Neil. And we have another first place, David Roth from Gateway, nailed it on the 17th attempt. 26, first place, Jim.
Yes, what can I say? Another one of my favorites here. This is a great image. As the title implies, the maker certainly nailed it on his 17th attempt. The grace and the form of the dancers is just done well here. Even look at the number of sort of triangular shapes you can see in the forms of the arms and the legs. Great composition here, and I like the background, the way the maker sort of had the bright part on the bottom with the shadow, and then sort of did a gradient from there on up, making it gray. It really makes these dancers here stand out in this image. Just very well done, very well.
Thanks, Jim, and congratulations, David.
Muscle detail that they've got in their bodies. I mean, look at her legs, look at his arms.
Yeah.
Just the muscles themselves, you can tell that these are athletes. These aren't just that dancers. These are truly athletes. Beautiful job.
Thanks, Ken. Yep. And then we have another first place, Cindy Goslin, who is one of our hosts today from Charter Oak. Magical Moment, 26, first place. And Tom, you get to comment on this one.
This is amazing. This is our top choice. And I know Cindy's listening, she's here. And we talked a little bit about this last time we got together. What an amazing photo. I mean, it's just what a story it tells. We've got the puffin, we've all seen puffin and butterflies, but the interaction with the two, it's just stunning. The composition is excellent, the lighting is excellent. With the light highlighted near the where the contact point may be between the two, it's very cool. It's just what a story. This looks like a cover of a book. It's just, it tells a tale. It is a magical moment. Well done, Cindy.
Yeah, thanks, Tom, and congratulations, Cindy. And it is nice to know that you're on and get to hear this. We're not sure how many of the other people do get to hear it, so this is very cool.
Yeah.
So that is pictorial A, and we move to the last category, which is pictorial B. Housatonic came in first with 94 points. North Haven came in second with 92, and Milford came in third with 91. So we will go and look at the top images here. And the first one is Kelly Smith from Whaling City, Picture Perfect Pizza. 23. And by the way, it is getting your lunch, so this is a
Yes.
tough one for me. Honorable mention, Ken, you want to talk about this a little bit?
I love the texture. I love food to begin with, but I love the texture between the red tomatoes and the green whatever the greens that you have on it. The olives at the outside, the cheese laying out, the rough board that you've laid this thing out on, the peppers, everything else. It just jumps out at you, and it's very very eye appealing, very mouth watering, and we all like pizza, but I think this really shows what a good pizza should look like, and nicely done, really well handled.
Yep.
And being
And
centered
Jim,
frame like that.
sorry, go ahead. And Jim, you scored this a little bit lower. Anything you might do to make it a little better?
Well, possibly. I think, as Ken said, it's technically, I think it's pretty well done with good color and contrast. Exposure is pretty good, sharpness. I got just a couple of minor issues, really. One would be with the placement of the elements around the pizza, the food elements. Some of them are cut off, like the top left, top right on the left side. That is a small issue, right? And then what also appears the scene is lit from the left. So you got a gradient going across the image. The left side is brighter than the right. And I think because of the brightness on the left side, even the background texture could have been a little bit better. It looks like there should be some texture to the background. So my only recommendation, if I was shooting this, would be to probably do it as a composite image where I sort of take a picture of the background first, leaving the camera set up above there, then drop in the picture, the pizza, take a picture of that, sort of optimize the lighting for that. And I think it would add a little something, but it's definitely probably more work than might be worth it for this. But nice image, pretty well done. Yes, and I'm getting hungry looking at it.
And again, for everybody listening, these, even the ones where we've asked people to critique a little bit more, they scored them pretty high as well. These are, or else we wouldn't be looking at them. They all the images got high scores, but where we can add a little more knowledge to people on how things might be improved, we're doing that. So now we move to the next. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, David, you were talking about we had a food category. I think this would have done well in our food category that we had at Stony Brook this year.
Yeah, I think it would have done well, though. I think we had one a little bit similar to it because people do like pizza. So it is one of the popular subjects. And now we have Cindy O'Neill from North Haven called Mesmerizing Eyes, 23, honorable mention. Jim.
Yes. I got to add in particular here on this PowerPoint image, it's definitely more contrasty and saturated than, looking at the original JPEG file. So that being said, great image, it's dramatic image of this girl, which I like. I think probably the couple of points I would make is the nose and the lips are, there's some blown highlights there, which are somewhat detracting. I think that the eyes in particular are the main thing about this image that catches the viewer. I think probably, while I like the color, the saturation of the image, I think it's probably a little too intense in the face area, but overall, I do like this image a lot. I think it's very well done.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah.
And now we go to Paulo LeBlanc, New England Shutterbug, Sleeping Beauty, 23, honorable mention, Tom.
Yeah, what a great photo. Isn't this, what a great shot. I think if I had a nitpick here, I'd say maybe the highlights are a little blown out. And I'm like I mentioned earlier, I'm into cropping pretty tight to focus on the image. I would have left a little more space around the top of this child's head. But the impact of the light and the bubbles and the layering of all these elements really makes a stunning photo. And again, I love black and white. It's nice, to see. Yeah, great shot. That would be my critique.
Thanks, Tom.
Mhm.
And we go here to Jay Fitzpatrick, Lakes Region, Snow Fence 23, honorable mention, Ken.
What a great piece of seeing. A very, very simple photograph. Fence in the snow, but the fence has certainly a lot of detail in it. It's got a lot of interest in it, and you capture it with the snow on it. So it's a very graphic photograph. You just got black and white, really nothing else. There's no grays in here at all. But I think you captured a very interesting scene. I think it works well.
Thanks, Ken. And Cal Ellenwood from Fall River, Little Gull 23, honorable mention, Jim.
Yes. For me, this is a technically excellent black and white image. I just like the tones, the range of tones in this image is really good. And the maker has a foreground, midground, background here, which is very well done. I think the only issue, and it's not an issue for me, but maybe for some judges, might be the inclusion of the 3 boats in the very foreground. To me, it does add some interest to it. I can see where maybe others might find that a somewhat minor distraction, but technically, this is a very good black and white image.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, if I can chime in too, David, I'm with Jim. In that, I think it's a stunning black and white. And the contrast in texture, we have sharp, 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 and soft. We have bright lights and dark areas, the whole range, the total range. If I could wave a magic wand, as much as I love outboards, I would wipe all those outboards out at the bottom. What a stunning image. I don't think it would take away from the overall impact, but a great photo. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree that the outboards take away the timelessness of the rest of the image.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
You gotta be careful if you crop them out, because you're gonna crop out the reflection of those on the fishing boat, the background.
Right, that's why I wanted to take the what's that tool in Photoshop? I'm drawing a blank. Anyway.
Content aware.
Yeah, content
Yeah,
aware.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So now we have Matt Collin from Milford, Ribbit, 23, honorable mention, Tom.
This is great. And again, what a story we're seeing here. I think it's so cool. How unusual that eye is. I think, again, one of the aspects of photography, it allows us to be able to sit here and enjoy what other people, the efforts people have made to create these images. I love the reflection. I'm glad the reflection was included in it to see it in the water itself. The contrast between the super sharp and the softness is just so delightful. Your eye goes, I love the thirds, the whole thing. I think it's a great shot. Color, yeah, well done, Matt.
Thanks, Tom. And now we have Peter Chow, Connecticut Valley. This one's called Fireworks, 23, honorable mention, Ken.
Yeah, this is great. So often you see pictures of fireworks, which are really quite dramatic, and they really work quite well. But to include this beach house on the right-hand side gives you another element. This tells me, 4th of July on the beach in Cape Cod or wherever. There's a couple of people standing there watching the fireworks go up, and the light is, the firework has been caught just at the perfect time. And there's just enough light on the house to give it some detail and some interest. So it really works well. It's an interesting shot.
Thanks, Ken. And we go to Bruce Betschneider, Quiet Corner, Korea Harbor and Fog, 23, honorable mention, Tom.
Again, a great spot. I want to be sitting there. Molly and I are lucky enough. We go up to Maine for every summer. Have been pre-COVID, and it's very not. Is this not the typical Maine shot? You lucked out with the lobster boat in the foreground there. What getting this is to peek between the limbs on the tree. I love the contrast with the softness of the fog. It's classic Maine. It is classic Maine. Foreground, middle ground, background, like Jim was alluding to earlier, just a super shot. It looks like really sharp throughout. I love it. It again, you want to be there.
Yep, we do. Thanks. Rita Spear, Fall River, Contemplation, 24, honorable mention. Jim.
Yes, another nice black and white rendition here, showing a pretty good range of tones and contrast. Couple of things I might suggest, I guess, or just think about is I think I would have preferred a more vertical orientation of this image rather than this is cropped more to a square format. And I think if the maker got down maybe a little lower, like I said, emphasizing a vertical shot, a little lower, leading us into this figure here, and a little less of the sky from the clouds on up above. I think it would add something to it. So.
Thanks, Jim. And now we have David Ryder, Upper Cape, Transforming Sacred Space, 24, honorable mention. Ken.
So this picture just drags you in. It really does. I mean, you get the scaffolding on both sides that leads you down to the arches leading up to the apse in the back of the stained glass window. Centered in the image perfectly. The symmetry is incredible. I mean, you've got a fellow with a red hard hat on the right hand side, and a fellow with a red hard hat on the left hand side. But it just seems to draw you in and pull you through, so you can go down and you can examine the entire image. I think the composition is just about perfect. You got so many leading lines that are just dragging you in and inviting you to enjoy all the aspects of this photograph. Nicely done, nicely done.
Yeah, hey, David, can I comment too on that?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I have to agree with everything that Ken just said. The strange thing about this image to me is that you've got all this scaffolding there, and it creates a very busy sort of image here. But normally I think that would be a problem, but somehow on this image, it seems to work very well. This is just very well done, very pleasing to look at.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, if you looked up symmetry in the dictionary, this image might pop up, so.
Yeah.
And we go to Joe Polio, North Haven, Uncertain Future, 24, honorable mention, Tom.
Wow. Another great photo. Love and me with the looking at the eyes and looking right through us. Wow, great shot. I like the fact that it's cropped tightly. For me, it really fits the bill. Maybe a hair more space at the chin, but the fact that the forehead's cut off, it does. I think it draws us right in. You can't not be wrapped up by this person's face, and the red eyes, the color, it's just amazing. It is a narrow depth of field, but what's in focus is just super sharp, and I'm loving it. Yeah, great photo. Yeah.
Thanks, Tom.
I would add one more thing, just out of curiosity. Frequently when I get a photo like this that lacks tons of color, or color isn't a major component of the photo, I tend to just look at it in black and white. And this is a photo I would love to just experiment with. What would it look like in black and white? It may be that it's the red and the color of the eyes that really gives us the impact, and it would be a failure to look at it in black and white. But sometimes that's an exercise I do just to see.
Thanks. And we've got Art Mioli, North Haven, Shadow of My Friend, 24, honorable mention, Jim.
Yes, here's an interesting perspective here on this horse's eye, I guess it is. And, you know, the shadow reflected in the eye here. So I think it's a well done capture. The eye and the reflection are very sharp. It's obviously done with a narrow depth of focus here. It's like about an f4 or f5, I believe it was. And maybe the only thing I would do is just crop a little off the left, and you know it. But the image works well, and it's well worthy of this category. So.
Great, thanks, Jim. And we have Marianne Lewis, Shooter's Photo Group, called Snow, 24, honorable mention, Ken.
Basically, this is a another black and white photograph. I didn't take it that way, but certainly the red leaves hanging down add to the life of this picture. I'm sure that you know, you shot it in color, like you're doing hitting it with the black and white, but it's a very monochromatic image. But the reds certainly make the trees itself stand out quite nicely. Also, in the middle of a snowstorm like that, you're capturing all the flakes coming down, and you're capturing really a strong moment of time. And nicely done, nicely composed. And I like this. The tree is off center. The background is nice and muted.
Right.
Feel it is just about perfect.
Great, thanks, Ken. And now we have John Garvin, Wallingford, more gruel, sirs, 24, honorable mention, Jim.
Yes, nice dramatic image here of this child. I do have to add that once again, looking at the PowerPoint presentation, it is much more saturated than what I saw when judging it. And the version I saw actually looks more natural than this one. This is a little too saturated, but that being said, it's a nice dramatic photo. You got great light coming in from the left-hand side of the image, fading right out to shadows across to the right. The only criticism I think would be for me would be you do have some stray hairs on the left-hand side and the right-hand side. I would probably just clone them out. They're minor distraction, but it's pretty minor. So it's very, very dramatic image.
Thanks, Jim. And now we go to retired musician Vietnam, Bert Schmitz from Housatonic, 26. This got second place. Oh, sorry, Tom.
Oh, okay, I was waiting.
Very nice.
Great shot. Wow. Does this tell a story? I kept remember when we first got a chance to look at it, I kept zooming in and out of this gentleman's face. Critique, it might have been a little sharper. That's why going in on some of the detail, but a refreshing black and white, maybe a little tighter on the right, cropping in a little bit to see this individual. But what a placement! Look at the background is amazing. This is an antique on an antique, and it's just very cool. It has so much story in it. It would be interesting to know what goes on, but very well done. Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. And we have Laszlo Gyorsak, Housatonic, Sparks Are Flying, 26, second place, Ken.
This is magnificent. As soon as I saw this, I had to go back a few times to really take a look at it. Look at the stance of the worker. His body position is just perfect. In a way, it reflects the sparks flying out of this furnace or whatever it is. But it's just it's such a dramatic photograph that you really captured it, and you cropped it just perfectly. I wouldn't cut anything out. I think it shows a factory. It shows great color with the fire. It shows you the nice saturated color with the the green machine, what we have here, and so that, like I said, the position of the welder or whatever he's doing is really quite dramatic.
Thanks, Ken. And we have the first place image in Class B, Angela Bueller, Milford, Ruffling Feathers, 27. Congratulations, and Angelica. Sorry, Angelica. Jim, please comment.
Yes. Excellent image, great impact of this great blue heron image here. All three of us gave it our highest score, and I think what it is this image has just a lot of impact due to its tonality and its pleasing rendering of the reflection below. So nice composite work in creating that reflection. It looked like you took the bird and flipped it down and muted it into the water below. And I think most images you see of these birds, they usually show up in the nature category, and you know they often have very busy backgrounds and so forth. But this one here, being in this category, the maker was free to do any kind of editing, and they did a really good job here. So it does have a lot of impact. It impacted all three of us.
And since this is the only 27 we had, Tom, you want to comment too, and Ken also?
Yeah, I totally concur with Jim. This was a 9 for each and every one of us. It's interesting, the reflection. I assumed it was a reflection, but Jim, now that you point out it's like a composite with a flipped image, I think you're absolutely right. That's exactly what it is. Maybe that's what gives it the impact, the contrast with the lights and the darks, and there's no distortion to it. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Ken, final comment?
Yeah, I'm not sure whether it is a composite. You know, you've seen the surface of the water here. The foreground has all these little dots on it. You know, maybe it is, but it works, whatever it does.
Yeah.
Wrong picture. I got a feeling it was taken this way with the reflection. I don't think it's a composite. Nicely done. Good nature story. I like the way that one feather, of course, is coming up and he's picking away at whatever it is. I love the color of the bird, the actual bird, not the reflection. That's a good color entirely.
So with that, we are back to, we're pretty well done with all the images. I want to certainly thank Jim and Tom and Ken for the judging and the comments, the opportunity to hear their comments rather than just see scores, I think was fabulous, and they complimented each other very nicely. I want to thank Bill and Cindy, who not only for running this competition, but running them all continually throughout the year. It's a tremendous activity and achievement, because as you know, if you're a club rep, you know, we're already on to the next one. And so, you know, thank you guys, you know, for the opportunity for us to compete and also to see all these great images. So thank you all. With that, I think we'll stop the YouTube. We will leave the recording on YouTube at least for a few days, and then talk about how we might share that with clubs if they'd like it. And with that, I thank everybody who joined, and good luck, and see you next time.
All right. Thank you, David.
Okay.
Thank you. Well done.
Bye-bye.
Stay healthy.
Nice job.
And Silvana, do you want to end the meeting, or do you guys want to stay on? Do you want to?
I'll
end
end
the
the
YouTube?
meeting. I'm just waiting for the YouTube to catch up. I don't
Okay.
want to.
Okay, yeah, don't end in YouTube. Any other thoughts for those people in the meeting here? While we have open mic here.
No,
Go ahead.
Go ahead,
Tom.
Jim.
All right. I just want to say, as a judge, being able to judge with Tom and Ken was really good, and David, the fact that you sort of said you're going to comment on these particular images, it just gave, I know myself, extra time to go in and sort of narrow